Big Daddy Max got invited to do a podcast this week with Market Moves Matt. Market Moves Matt, he's all over socials. He's well known in the trading community, and he puts out an awesome platform to his awesome audience. And he invited BDM to come be a guest on his podcast, and I had a fucking awesome time with him. In this video, we really break down, first of all, option selling and how you could be a successful trader, the mindset you need to be a successful trader. So if you're not a successful trader, but you want to be, you have to watch this podcast. It's simple as that.
All right, today on the podcast, I have Max with Max Options Trading, who has been trading full-time, selling options for the last 5 years. He's coached thousands of traders and has over 10 million views on all his socials. So he's going to be someone we look up to in the option selling space that's going to help everyone out there kind of get started with the right advice and the right steps forward. So thanks for popping on with us, Max.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to talk some more, my friend.
Yeah, so let's just dive into the beginning. So what was life like before 5 years ago with the stock market? Or were you ever not in the stock market, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So quick rundown. Right before I jumped into the stock market, I had got out of the military. I was in the military from 2013 to 2018, and there wasn't a lot of stock going on there. One of my closest friends, Ryan, though, in 2014 says, Amazon Prime Day is coming up and I'm buying options. And I said, I don't even know what that means, but I like it. I'll buy shares. And that started the journey of, oh shit, this is pretty cool. Finance, the markets, making money, losing money. It's, you get your little dopamine hit. So military and law enforcement background. After the military, I got out, I went straight into sales. The sales that I did was a roofing contractor working for my mentor, who absolutely set me up with the platform to where I was able to transfer that over and become an option seller.
So I'm guessing out of the military, just not much money, and the sales job maybe helped you build up the account?
Oh, yeah. Listen, when I got out of the military, I had no money. I had no car. I had nothing. I have a picture that I keep as a humble reminder, right? It's a fucking bed and a Walmart closet in my brother's living room. And that's where I was living, in my brother's living room, 28 years old, no money, no car, no nothing. So all I could really do was figure it out. So I started reading every book you could think of about finance, self-help, all of it, getting the literacy that I needed. And then I just stopped doing everything. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I stopped going out. And all I did was work sales 10 hours a day until I had enough and figured it out.
Yeah, I kind of want to dive into that because everybody's posting like, I quit drinking, I go to the gym. Like, is that just like a hype thing, or like, did that change your life?
That changes my life. That changed. So the not drinking, I can tell you, like, having the right headspace, having the clarity, especially in a stressful profession like this, like trading is not fucking fun. I don't care what anyone says. It is not easy. It is so high level stress. And I can't imagine going out and having a 3-day bender over the weekend and then having to sit at my computer all Monday. So in relation to like this career, like the non-drinking for me was an easy decision. But if I'm not full of shit, when I quit smoking cigarettes, you have to quit drinking, because it's like you can't quit smoking cigarettes and not fucking drink. Like as soon as I cracked the beer, I would have been like, "Who's got one?" Right? Like, so there's that. Those are mutually inclusive. If you're gonna quit smoking, you gotta quit drinking. The gym has always been a passion of mine. That's like I bodybuilded in the military. My father was a professional bodybuilder. Even though I'm the big fatty now, putting on that extra mass. Going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week for me consistently for years and years now has always been very important to me. And I can contest that everything that's happened good in my life, like those good spurts where it's just like, damn, I can't make a bad decision. I was more focused on my health and my fitness at those times. And the times where I get hurt or something happens and I skip the gym for a few weeks, I start to notice bad shit happening around me. So I truly believe that, you hear the health is wealth and all of that, but I don't care about none of that. But I do believe that consistency and discipline and going to something like the gym does transfer over into the other aspects of your life. It overflows like a fucking water puddle.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like I'm undecided on the whole, like, have everything perfect thing, like, cut out all the crap thing. Like, I feel like there's also like a balance factor where you could kind of have a beer every night or once every other night and
Well,
still
absolutely.
be. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't want to say to offend anyone, but there's a lot of big millionaires out there, like big billionaires. Like, I don't think they've ever hit the gym, but I'm always curious why people pump this cut it all out, idea.
I don't think it's a cut it all out. Everyone has a vice. If you got to have a vice. So the gym for me is more therapeutic than anything, right? But like I'm also a big eater. I don't spend my money on alcohol or weed or anything like that. But I will go drop 250 at a nice steakhouse and try all the sides, right? So like that's mine. That's my vice. That's my way. So I don't think it has to be a drop everything and just be your best potential self. That's almost impossible, right? But like find a vice that's yours. And so if it's not the gym, if it's not, quit drinking, if it's that one beer, or fuck it, if it's a six pack a night, if that's what gets you relaxed and calm and feeling good and that's your vice, then so be it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think the king of social media at this moment, Alex Hormozy, he
Yeah.
loves dessert. And he's like, people hate sugar, but that dude is downing like barrels of ice cream every night.
Yeah. Alex Hormozy can do whatever he wants and he's going to look cool doing it, man. He's just one of those guys. Anyone who, if you can ignore the nasal strip while he's preaching to you about how you're going to be successful, if you can get past that, you'll get past that dessert.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah,
I love what I've learned from him. He's been a huge online mentor. But let's dive into out of military, first couple years. When do you shift to option selling, and when do you see like, hey, like this is full time income
yeah.
potential?
So I got very fortunate. I started my options career. I took 35,000 out of my stock portfolio, and I said, "All right, this is my options money. If I blow it, I blow it, and I'll never try an option again. And if I do well, I might be able to find something here." And this was around 2018. So this was the end of like that Donald Trump bull era where that last like 18 months was like fire. So all I did was I didn't even know what I was doing. Just bought call options, 20 contracts, AMD. AMD was like $30 back then. Walmart, Alibaba. Three stocks. I had no idea what they were. Literally, a friend said, I like these three stocks. And so I just bought options contracts. Next week, I woke up and I was up $17,000. And I said, okay. And then I looked by the end of Friday and I'm up $45,000. And I was like, huh, is this isn't real, right? This is bullshit. It's fake money or something's wrong. So I sold everything and I'm like, all right, this ain't real. And I'm like, I'm just going to pull out my 35,000. I pull it out and I see account balance 45K. And I'm like, so let me try it again next week. Next week, I make another $20,000 going all
Holy
in
shit.
on the same three stocks. If that's not the most lucky, fortunate beginning of any options trader in the world, I don't know what is. So I
Damn.
got extremely lucky. And then I got addicted. I was like, okay, now I really need to dive in. So then I began the understanding. I took every course you can think of. I went on YouTube for, oh my God, hours and hours and hours and hours. Like I need to learn every option strategy there is. I become very addictive, right? Having that addictive type personality. Where I was like, if
Yeah.
I'm not the best at this, if I'm not the subject matter expert, I can't continue this kind of growth. Um, and lucky enough, I did continue that same pattern of growth for almost a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Good for you.
that's how my options trading career began. 92% luck. And then as I started learning more, it was like 91% luck, 9% skill. And then I transferred it over. It was really during COVID where I was like starting to lose a lot of money in March, April, right? I think it was like the famous April 17th, 220 puts. If you know Umar, everyone knows Umar. He's like the goat, the king of options trading. He was open about how he took $500,000 loss on those puts. So
Oh,
myself and several of us that were trading back in the discords back then also took a substantial loss. And I remember thinking like, wow, like I built all this income and now I'm just blowing it. Like blowing, I was doing earnings reports, 20 grand on a fucking earnings report. Who does that? I was taking my home run shot and I was striking out. So I started blowing all my money and I was like, okay, there's gotta be a better way. So then that mindset switch happened where I was like, let me stop buying options and start selling them. Let me change the freaking pace here and see what I can do. So I started learning about credit spreads. I started learning about calendars and different ways to implement verticals. And that's when the switch happened, was right after COVID, about 3 years ago. And by the end of 2020, I had not bought options ever since.
that's insane.
But I want to
You-
say ever since, I do buy options very rarely, 3 or 4 times a year. I have a swing trading criteria that if it hits, I will swing trade, buy options. I'll go heavy and I'll enter a position. But if that doesn't hit, then I won't buy an option at all for the year.
And how many months out do you swing?
I have a standardized swing criteria. So they're not leaps, but I go 4 to 6 weeks out and I just pick a strike price at my target price, and I have very tight stops. So, when you're swing trading, you want to trend, you want to catch the reversal on a trend on the daily chart, maybe even the weekly chart, right? Those greater time frames. So when I swing trade, I go 4 to 6 weeks out and I just sickly do the candlestick analysis. If we make a newer high on a candlestick on the daily, that means my trend is not intact anymore. So I cut with very tight stop losses. But if the trend is aggressive and it goes in my favor, you're able to take a large amount of profits with a safe amount of time. And that's the way I've always swung trade.
And you only do this 3 times a year.
Right now, we're in July, and I've entered two bots this year. One was
Yeah.
Walmart puts, which went very well. I wound up making 26,000 on that one. On
Wow.
a $12,000 investment, I made like 230% or something like that. And
Jeez.
then the second one was I shorted Mara just recently. It had a small pop where I was able to trim some profits, and then I took a loss on the. It continued its ravage right up, but I knew I was tackling a beast when you mess with a cryptocurrency stock or any off meme stock. I knew I was going to tackle the monster, so I told everyone like this is tight, but we could lose, and it was like within a week I was like, all right, I'm out. You know, took the
That's
but that
good.
yeah, so it's very rare.
Yeah, we're in Mara call spreads right now. And I got in like last week and got in at a bad place. And with the volatility, you can still like do pretty well because the
Oh yeah,
it's insanely volatile. So yeah, I'm on the same boat, but I know timing the tops on these things are impossible. So I
yeah.
went with the call spread like a month out.
When I did my analysis, I didn't even try and time the top. I just tried to time a relief, some kind of pressure relief where it could, even if it consolidated for a little bit, I would have considered that as a win where I could have got out on one of the drops. But,
Yeah.
it took a tactical pause and it just exploded back up to the upside where it topped out at like 17. I'm talking about a few weeks ago when it was at 12, 13 is when I entered the short. So, but
Oh, got it.
the risk to reward and the potential when you're dealing with a stock with that kind of volatility.
Yeah, I mean, this bull market will lift everything, and it'll lift the short squeezers and the meme stocks like 10 times, especially
Yeah,
in this extended bull market. So I think we went long Mara at like $11 a couple weeks ago.
nice, awesome,
That
awesome
was a
move.
move, man. I wish I sized in more. But let's
Yep.
dive into so what's your bread and butter trade with option selling? Like, what do you do? Rinse and repeat. Almost. What could you do daily or weekly? I would say.
Yeah, daily. So I've written books, guides, and implemented multiple strategies on credit spreads. Verticals are my bread and butter. That's where I've made my most income since 2020 being a full-time option seller. That's where I've taken my biggest losses since 2020 being an option seller and learned everything A to Z on the way. Like I have done everything with a credit spread you can think of on every stock you can think of in every fashion possible. So I literally know everything about them. But I have a very fine tuned strategy today that I use mostly on SPX. I'm a full time SPX spread seller now, so I sell premium on SPX daily, and I will sometimes implement iron condors, but it's based off of my initial credit spread strategy. So those are the two. I also run my private mentorship, and I have a very advanced wheel strategy that I curated, and that's what I've lived off of for the last 3 years. So simultaneously mixing in cash secured puts and covered calls in a very unique way.
Yeah, so are you doing those on like growthish stocks or index funds or like Teslas? Like, what's your wheelhouse for the
So
wheel?
my wheelhouse is very unique, but a lot of people disagree with it. But I've been doing it a long time. My favorite stock is a stock that you may have heard of, but most likely have never traded. It's called Labu, Labu, and
Yeah,
Labu is a 3x
yeah,
directional biotech fund created in 2015 during the Ebola issues. Dropped down, reverse split, but then it trended with bull market. It typically trends with the market. Biotech, a lot of biotech is in the S&P 500. Being a leveraged stock, you have to worry about decay and issues like that, but it tends to trend up with bull market. So decay only happens on the downside when the three-part lever, the one part is debt, right? So it takes on debt, and that's what happens. That's the decay. Um, but I love that stock so much. Like it follows technical analysis. It
yeah.
goes with the market trends. It has unbelievable premiums, like consistent 3% to 5% premiums on biweeklies. Like where are you going to get that kind of consistency? It's a stock that I can buy at $6 and sell at 650. And for me, it's those little base hits, right? Because I
Yeah.
use a large equity. The last time I scaled in at like $70,000 worth of cash secured puts, and I'm able to close those and recycle them back into shares using profit, sell covered calls on that profit, and take a paycheck from that profit. So it's like that's why they call it the wheel, right? So that's one thing that I do that's very unique is I love using leveraged ETFs for my wheelhouse and reinvesting that into long-term portfolio.
Yeah, dude, I'm in the same boat. I specifically love like the TQQQ, and they just
Beautiful,
started
beautiful stuff.
releasing Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, Pfizer. Like there's single stocks now that are leveraged. So
Yep,
option premiums are 50% higher now. The TQQ is three times higher. So
yep.
yeah, like you said, in a bull market, you can't lose being an option seller. It's like taking candy from a baby, and if you're using leverage, it's taking three times as much candy from the baby. So
I agree. And you see a lot of analysts now making the switch to, hey, you like the IWM, right? We like the small caps, we like the Russell. But then they're not telling you to go look at the IWM. They're telling you to go look at TNA, the 3x leverage small cap. They're telling you, hey, the QQQ is good, but TQQQ was just at 20, and now it's going to be 50 probably by the end of this month, right? The QQQ can't double like that in a few months. So getting that leverage. And another fun fact, people always talk about, oh, leverage, the decay, and all this bullshit.
yeah, it's
TQQQ has never reverse split. TQQQ had a COVID low that has never been retested. TQQQ is the NASDAQ strong and it cycles its stocks as rapidly and strong as the QQQ, its mothership or whatever. So I can argue all day that I think it's safer to invest in TQQQ, a 3x leveraged ETF, than a fucking individual name stock.
amen. Yeah, I believe it, man. And it's funny though because the FNGU reverse split, and that one I loved a lot. I got destroyed bag holding those, and that was a big loss for me last couple of years. But now it's the bottom. How
Yep.
much lower can they go? So
Yeah. My thing is too when you're wheeling, right? The wheel, I look at the premium. I think I invented this term. I'm not sure. I call it the blended cost average. Have you ever heard of a blended cost average?
I think
Okay.
so.
Okay, well, what it is, your dollar cost average less all of the credits you've received by selling options on the underlying stock. So if I buy a stock at $10 and I sell a $50 covered call, my blended cost average is now $9.50. That's what I owe left on the stock. So my goal in my wheelhouse, and I tell everyone, is long term, I compare it to real estate. Pay down your mortgage, have your tenant bring your mortgage, your real estate to zero fucking dollars. And then what do you have? A cash producing asset for life. So who gives a shit if your $10 stock goes to $4? Because all in time, stocks are forever. Your unrealized losses will not outweigh the realized gains you'll get from selling premium on it. And I have taken some serious losers. I mean, I have like $160,000 loss on Boyle in the last 24
Oh,
months,
I
which
hate
is the Widowmaker, right? So I'm not going to say that I'm sit here and say I'm fucking perfect because I'm not. I've made mistakes, but out of that 160,000, I've made almost 90 of it back already selling premium. And that stock I'm going to hold forever until it reverse splits me to the point where I have one share. I'm not going to hold it and I'm going to continue to make passive income on it.
Are you worried? Because I don't know the actuality of this happening, but can these leveraged ETFs just disappear? We're out of business. Like we miscalculated some shit.
Absolutely, absolutely can. But that's why I also do a lot of due diligence and research on the parent companies. So Direxion, ProShares, right? All of these hosts of these, you want to look up their business. How's their model doing? How are they doing fundamentally? Is that a strong company, right? And you'll find that most of them are cash strapped, very strong, and the ETFs that they have, even the bad ones, are very cash loaded 3x ETFs. So I look that up consistently. If you go to ProShares' website, ProShares has an awesome website that breaks down all of their leveraged ETFs and all of their previous leveraged ETFs. So you can see what's going on. But if you have a leveraged ETF like TQQQ, that's a cash cow. That one's going to continue for however long. I don't ever see them just being like a flick, a flip and you're done. I don't ever see that happening. I think you would have much notice. I think the underlying ETF would have to be out of compliance for a while, and the underlying ETF, because you have things like SQQQ, right? That has literally, it's down 99.87% all time. You have your bear ETFs that are down 99% all time. And you can find a bunch of them. Look up any bear ETF, go to the
Yeah.
weekly chart and just zoom out. You'll just see it like this. It's a straight line down.
It's so pathetic. Yeah,
It
I've seen,
is. It is.
it looks
But
like the biggest bowl
yeah.
ever.
So now I always think to myself, those haven't gone out of business yet. Those are still here for the last 20 years, just shit in the bed, right? So, why would my good ETF that doesn't split and do all this, why would that one shit the bed?
Well, I think they stay alive by reverse splitting. So
Yep.
they keep doing that and raising more shares or whatever. Um, but yeah, let's go back to I am very because I've never got pinning to like a 0 day option selling strategy. I'd love for you to like expand upon how you even manage to plot like the entry points on zeros for the index funds. Like
Yeah.
what time do you get in? What time do you get out? Like, can you lay out as much as possible without, devaluing your subs,
Oh no, I'll give them all the sauce they need to succeed. I'm here to help, baby. The zero DTE credit spread strategy I use on SPX is very simple. So the way I set it up on my charts, there's no indicators. It's simple candlestick analysis and price action. That's it. It's the basics of options trading, which I think it's so important for people that get wound up. You see the people that you look at their chart, you see MACD, RSI,
Yeah.
stochastic, divergence, MACD again, but with bubbles. Like you're like Jesus fuck. Like a momentum oscillator is a momentum oscillator. If you learn how to read one appropriately, you're reading them all. Like
Yeah.
you can only stack shit so high. So I see this. And I don't like that. So my candlestick analysis is what I go off of, right? Because that's what trading is: buyers versus sellers, Pick the fucking winning side and you'll make money. So what I do is I only use the 15-minute chart. That's it. 15-minute chart only. I go to SPX and I chart out the 15-minute orb. The orb is the opening range breakout. So I simply chart the high of the first 15-minute candle and I chart the low of the first 15-minute candle. And this becomes an intraday major level of support and resistance. So I use that, the 15-minute opening range breakout. If SPX were to pop to the upside with confirmations, then I would enter put side credit spreads. Put side credit spreads are a bearish option, or excuse me, are a bullish option strategy, and vice versa. So I always wait for 4 confirmations when I'm trading this. So the first confirmation is if we were to break to the upside, is there a higher high? Is there a higher low? Did this candle close outside of orb? And did this candle confirm the previous candle's data? So if we had 2 bullish candles in a row that closes outside of orb, that's my entry criteria. Now I will enter put side credit spreads based on previous lows, previous lower lows, and the expected move for the day matrix. Once I get that, I'm able to choose a strike price that provides a decent premium for something that's way out of the money.
That's incredible. I like you being so honest and sharing that with us. So I appreciate that a lot. And
Absolutely.
with the orb, like, what's the psychology? What's the back testing? Like, what's the confidence for you to use that strategy?
The confidence is I back tested the strategy and paper traded it for 6 months. And I went back and did the special replay function for over 2 years of data. And I did this every single options trading day. The biggest losers were, which I call, there's 2 types of news breaks, fundamentals that mess up the market, right? One of them is called high importance news. That's your CPI, PPI, your Jerome Powell, your presidential speeches. Those are your high importance news days. That that was like a 50-50 because the market could just tank or shoot up and it would cause you to take a loss. Any type of reversal is dangerous to the strategy. And then the second one, the lesser importance news days, your random Fed speakers, your random meetings and such like that. Besides those days, I found a massive success rate. And I challenge anybody to go try my credit spread strategy and back test it for yourself. I don't need to sit here and prove it to you because after about 2 months, you're going to go, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm literally just looking at the chart from just a couple days ago, and you probably would have been 3 for 3 Thursday, Friday, and Monday.
So when I teach this, and if you look on some of my YouTube videos and things like that, I do a live demonstration of how I do this. I set it up. And when I do the live demo, I always say to pass this test, we need to hit 9 out of 10 to be correct. For my strategy to work, you have to hit 9 out of 10 of these days in a row. And every single demo, we've accomplished that without fault. And I can even show some days. I did a live like little masterclass with a few other traders from Twitter the other day, and it was awesome. And when I did mine, I said I want to show you guys an Iron Condor day. And based on the candlestick analysis at 11 o'clock, I was like, all right, I think that it's going to stay basically within orb and range bound for the rest of the day. And it didn't even move like this much, up and up and down. And people are like, holy shit, how can you do that? Well, it's simple price action and candlestick analysis with a good strategy. And that's all you need.
And do you have like a stop loss or like a risk to reward you look for?
Yes.
With like a credit spread, you're looking like 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. Like,
So with the credit spread, it's actually, when you're talking 3 to 1, 4 to 1, it's actually the opposite. So it's like 1 to 3 because I'm going to so I have a hard stop loss of 300%. So because you can lose up to the collateral on a credit spread. So if it costs me $1,000 to enter one contract minus the credit I received, that means I can lose somewhere around like $950. So that's significantly more than my potential profit. So what I like to do is I like to keep a inverted 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. That means that I have a hard stop loss at 300% every single day. And I have a zone of support and resistance that in the afternoon were to break, I would exit the trade regardless because it's one of those big liquidity spots. And having a reverse, so I know that sounds like crazy, like, oh, this is ridiculous. Why would I risk that to lose 300%? But to have a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio, that means what? That means I need a 75% success rate to be at break even. So every percent above 75 is long-term consistent profits. And that's why I said I don't have to say the numbers. If I don't even like saying the win rate that I have because people are gonna be like, oh, he's full of shit. So I'm not gonna say it. But go back and test it for yourself and look at the win rate over 100 days. And then you'll be like, 75% ain't shit.
No, I believe it. I mean, just the statistic of a option is like you can have 70% just out of the gate for
Statistics
just
is a big part of why I do what I do and how I do it, right? So for an options buyer, how does an options buyer make money? If an options buyer buys call options, that means they need the stock to rapidly go up in their direction. If it goes up too slowly during a zero DT, you lose. If it consolidates, you lose. And if it drops, you lose. But as an option seller, if I sell a call side credit spread, I lose only if it goes in the money rapidly. But if it goes up slowly, I win. If it consolidates, I win. And if it drops, I win. So the natural law of statistics, selling versus buying, are already favorable 66% in your favor. Now let's talk about how many options contracts expire worthless. 99% of them. The 1% that, like it's ridiculous. So when you hear these statistics and then you add the delta, right? The number one function of a delta is what? The rate of change of the underlying stock given a $1 move. What's the secondary function? That is the underlying strike price of that options contract's chance to go in the money. So a 30 delta means there's a 30% chance that stock goes in the money. As an option seller, I don't want that. So if I sell that option, I automatically, statistically, have a 70% chance of success. So if I choose a delta that's at 85, which is what I do, I only choose a delta of 85, or 15 or lower, which gives me an 85% chance of success. On top of all the other statistics, on top of all the other expected moves that the brokers give you, TOS tells you what the expected move is of the day. It said today there's probably going to be a 14-point move, and the market moved like 13 points. So, using all that data and statistics to my benefit, I'm able to keep a very consistent and high win rate, which has a very small and capped reward. But over time, the consistency, it's amazing.
and is that where you make majority of your money is 0 day stuff or other
The,
avenues?
the wheel is how I survive. I have multiple accounts now that I wheel in consistently, a few six-figure ones, and that's my primary income. Always have it always will be. So I said, like, back in 2020 when I made that switch from like wealth building to, oh shit, I need to wealth preserve.
Yeah.
That mental switch in my brain, once that light went off, it was a no-brainer for me. I was like, I'm going to sell options for the rest of my life, and that's all I'm going to do. The zero DTE stuff, what I like to do, so right now I'm scaling. I think all traders should scale the amount of contracts they use to the amount of contracts they're comfortable with and then reset. So what I do is I start with 2 SPX contracts for $2,000, and I can make anywhere from like 50 to $100 a day. And after 2 weeks of or 3 weeks of winning with a loss, I'm able to go to 3 contracts. And then after another 2 weeks, I'm able to go to 4 contracts. So I'm in the middle of that process right now. And in the last month, I've scaled from 2 to 4 contracts because I'm a professional trader and I'm going to grow my scalability just like I'm going to grow my account. So the way I do that and grow that, and I'm going to get to a point where I'm comfortable. Here's a something I always teach my students. A lot of people don't think about this, right? If I were to play 1 contract of SPX, just one, I would not even look at the screen that day. I would give
Yeah.
two fucking right. If you played 1 contract right now, one call option for $50, would you even care about that trade at all? It could go up 1,000% and you would literally still not care and be like, oh, that's cool. I made 500, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't get the heart rate going. But if I entered $100,000 worth of zero DTEs, I'd be sitting at the screen biting my fucking nails and be like, sweating and anxious, right? So I always, where is the middle there? From I don't give a shit at one contract to I'm freaking out at 100 contracts. Where's Max's middle? Where am I so comfortable that I'm not caring, but I'm not freaking out? and and that's the level of contracts that everyone needs to find for themselves, and the only way you can do that is by scaling to that amount, because there's going to be a time where I scale my 4 to 5 to 10 contracts, and maybe I get to 10 and I'm like, damn, this is nice. 10,000 a day is like perfect for me, and that's my number, right? Sometimes I scale to 25 and I'm doing 25,000 a day, so it's like, damn, this is good. But I notice I'm looking at the screen a lot more and I'm starting to stress the movements that are coming my way. Let me figure this out and go back down, right? That scaling, that I'm one of the huge believers that size management is risk management, is emotional management, and they're all synonymous.
I like that. That's really deep. Size, risk, and emotions. So
They're
it
all
starts with size and affects the
correct.
rest.
Correct. Because, like I said, if you oversized, you're going to be staring at the screen, tearing your nails up because you're emotionally involved. You're charged now because your risk management, your size management went to shit. And if one of them goes to shit, it's the domino effect. The other two are going right out the window with it. And once you get that greed, the fear, the hope, the number one killer of all options traders, those emotions, you're fucked. So you have to figure it out from the start. So from the start, if I'm playing small enough to not even care, I probably won't be emotional, and I probably will keep a level headed of good risk management.
Nice. And so with your schedule, how does it look like for this zero? You just trading like at 0 days every day or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday? Like,
I trade them every day. Every day so I don't trade high importance news days.
yeah.
So PPI, CPI, all of that, I do not trade those. I sit them out. I go enjoy my day. New options traders love trading every day. Hate the weekends. Love trading. 50 trades a day. When you've been doing it professionally for a while, I can't stand high importance news days. I miss my 4 day weekends. Like I love, you get those. It's a total mind switch, right? I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. I used to sit at a chart all Sunday and be prepping for the week, and now it's like I'm gonna sit there until 10 p.m. and I'm gonna enjoy my weekend. But I do trade every day, unless there's a high importance news break, a fundamental thing that could impact the markets and put my credit spread at jeopardy before I even enter the trade. Well, what sense does that make? And I always tell my students, like, I'm going to be trading tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of my friends will be trading tomorrow, but are you going to be trading tomorrow? Or is today the day you do something stupid and get caught?
That's a good point. But how much time does it take to manage these 0 day trades and also manage your wheeling strategy? Like per week, what does that look like time wise?
So realistically, like no bullshit. My wheeling strategy, if I wanted to, I only need to be attentive Monday and Friday for 10 minutes a day. 20 minutes, 20 minutes a week. I can consistently and safely run my wheel strategy to no issues at all, because I'm so proficient, over time with my broker, with the charts, with the stocks that I've been using for so long. I have that level of comfortability where I can just easily go in there, make my what I need to make, and literally pull a paycheck out the same day and say, okay, I'm good. Well, I don't care what the outcome is because I know the outcomes prior to, right? So that's the most important thing, is knowledge is power. I know what the outcomes are. I'm satisfied with all of them. So I can make the best decision possible with all of them. Selling options gives you that. When you're buying an option, you don't know if you're going to win or lose. But when I'm selling an option, I'm only going to fucking win in long term. So I'm okay with whatever outcome happens.
Yeah.
The zero DTE, I trade live with my Discord and my team. I usually log. I mean, this is funny too. I usually play League of Legends until about 9:15 ish, 9:20 every morning. I go to the gym, I work out at like, 6:30 to about 8, come home, shower, eat breakfast, and I'm trying to get a game in before the market opens because my strategy is price action. And there's no SPX price action prior to 9:30, so why do I have to be glued to a screen? You know? So I usually start trading around 9:45, and that's when my orb candle, my first 15-minute candle, is charted. So once that one's charted, now I'm watching the screen from about 9:30 to about 10:30, 1 hour. And if the entry criteria hits, I will enter a trade and apply the risk management, which includes a hard stop and includes a support zone. So I set my alerts for both of those, and I walk away for the day.
Nice. It's so funny. Like I just switched to trading at 9:45 like 4 months ago. It's like everybody I have on this podcast has these little nuggets of knowledge that took me like years to figure out, but it's a gift. It's a gift to be like able to share this and everybody can learn because you don't have to take years to find this stuff out. It's incredible how many traders will try to trade the open. It's like they'll just struggle for
Yep.
3 or 4 blown up accounts. Like you don't need to trade the first 10 minutes
I can't
at all.
stand traders that promote trading the open. I know a bunch of people do it, right? Like if there's a news break, post earnings report, and they're like, they're ready and they're confident and they might take the hit, but like if you can't wait 5 fucking minutes for the market to open, 5 or 15, then your patience is dog shit anyway, and you're most likely going to fail while you're in the trade, right? Like you can't wait that extra 5 minute candle. Like let everything subside, let everything calm down because most of the time you're going to get crushed at the open.
Oh yeah, that volatility crush is for real. Just the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes, if a stock drops $1, those out of the money contracts are crippled immediately and they're on for the rest of the day. And how
Yeah,
FIDA works, right? Like what
you got to make like
those contracts ain't going back up like that.
you got to make like 3 or 4 times the magnitude move at some point if you just get that crush.
Yep.
So yeah, dude, I don't know if you ever been on the. I was in this Twitter Spaces this morning with the Wolf guy and his crew.
Wolf Financial?
Yeah, it was like the market open space, and everybody was just like bam, 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 bam. I was like, I can't even be here. I'm gonna. They're giving me FOMO, like just trying to. It was
Yep.
nuts, but like it's amazing how many people
Yeah.
trade open and
I've traded with Wolf a few times. I love him. He's a cool fucking dude, and he gives a wonderful platform on Twitter. And he's going to be a good trader in his day. We've spoken about selling options before as well.
that's great.
Just a cool ass dude. And yeah, some of those guys he trades with, they're very serious traders, like very serious. And
Yeah,
it's funny when I go in there because I always feel like kind of like I'm not young as some of these guys. I'm going to be 34 soon, so I'm a little bit older, right? Um, but I like to always joke around, have fun, and like I'm very outgoing and outspoken. And I'll say some shit, like, "Oh, breaking orb to the downside, you fucking idiots that are in calls are probably going to get smoked." And then I'll say something like, "By the way, I'm selling calls. If anyone needs to buy them, I'm selling them all right now." And then you just hear like wait, what did he just say? Like, what's going on right now?
So I try to keep these around like 45 minutes to an hour. So I just got one more question, but then we'll wrap it up. So I
I'm
kind of
having
want
a
to hear
blast, bro.
like,
We could do this forever.
yeah, I mean, part of me would love to just rip these for hours, but got
Yeah,
family and got
I hear you. I hear you.
and so yeah, I just want to hear like, if you build wealth forever, you build these companies and you do great. Like, what's your next step in 5, 10 years? Like, where do you want to take your wealth?
That is an awesome question. I would consider that my intermediate plan, right? My long term plan would probably be around 20 years from now. My short term plan would probably be by the next year. So my intermediate plan of wealth, like my own personal growth and creation, I don't want to I don't know what I would say I want, but I definitely am one of those people that like complacency kills. And I'm not comfortable where I'm at. I always want more. And I know the end goal. I've always wanted to say that I've made $100 million in my life. And
Holy,
people hear that and they're like, what the fuck? Like, that's outrageous. But like, okay, if I've made almost 2 million in my career so far, almost 2 million fucking dollars, why can't I get the other 98? You know what I mean? It's like, so I can do one, and if I can do one, I can do a fucking 100. And so that's the mindset that I have. And I just don't want to stop. So I don't know, but in 5 years, for my own personal wealth and creation, I would just like to be sitting right here, to be honest with you, doing the same thing I'm doing now, because I can't imagine where I'll be compounded 5 years from now.
yeah. Hormozy says, I mean, he stole this from Warren Buffett, but it's the boat you're in, not the strokes you're taking. One boat, once. So, if you make 2 million at this point in your life, it's just about maybe getting in the right boat for the next 98. But with 2 million over 60 years, trading and selling options, you could definitely hit 100 million too. That's very reasonable to say.
Yeah,
But one of
I'm a
yeah,
huge fan of Grant Cardone, right? And so Grant Cardone, real estate guy, 45-year old, working at a car, being a car salesman.
yeah,
Fast forward, 60 years old, billionaire. Not 100 million, a billionaire. And that's just like, and I think of him always. Like, I've read all of his books, and I always think of him. If Grant can do it from 45 on, I can do it whenever. You see like the Colonel Sanders, Starbucks, McDonald's, all of these businesses that were created by guys in their 40s and 50s. And these guys that hit hyper success by the time they were 60. So I'm like, I know what I want. And I've read all these guys' books and I know how they got there. So I'm like, I feel like in some way I've been mentored and groomed by little pieces of all of them, right? And I'm like, and I know what I want in life. I get one fucking shot at it and I know what I want.
100 million.
Yep. I want 100 million fucking dollars.
You're like Gary Vee, dude. You're like super big goal, and it's his goal. Pretty funny, the Jets, but like you have that big goal, and it seems like that's driving everything else. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that. I think the guys you mentioned, I think they just have leverage over a lot of us. Grant has a huge fund. He has a huge channel. Like he has
Yep.
a massive sales team. Like to get to that amount of wealth, it's leveraging something. So yeah, that's huge. But
Yeah.
let's just finish up, just talk about kind of where you're at with your social and your company and where
Yeah.
people can find you if they want to, move forward with option selling with Max.
If they want an option sell with Max, you can go straight to the website anytime, maxoptionstrading.com. Most people in the options trading world have seen some of my stuff somewhere before, whether it's on Instagram, Max Options Trading. I'm on Twitter, Max Options Trade. The YouTube is pretty new, Max Options Trading, but I'm super proud of it and we're working on it. And if you're looking for free educational content, my YouTube, I have a 10 course beginner course for beginners that are curated to the person who doesn't know a thing about options to advanced selling strategies. My whole credit spread strategy that we spoke about, I have the whole class on YouTube multiple times and multiple demonstrations so they can literally pound it until they're comfortable and consistent. So I would always suggest to someone, and I still do to this day, go to YouTube, go to Google, utilize the free resources. You're not going to you can literally learn a master's degree on YouTube now. You can learn how to trade options before you even start putting your money to work, right? So go to those free resources, utilize them. And if you're ready to jump in, you can always go to our website and sign up for our Discord. It's a 7-day free trial. 7 days totally free. Cancel anytime you want and come sell options. If buying options is not working, hit the sell button. That's it. That's my piece of info that I give to everyone. If it's not working and you've been trying for months and months, that's fucking insane to me. The definition of insanity. It's not working. You're doing it over and over and over. push the sell button. I can guarantee, I'll use the G word, I can guarantee you'll notice the shift in the consistency at least.
Amen. Yeah, that's huge, man. So I appreciate you taking the time to drop these huge value bombs for everyone. And hopefully everyone really appreciates it. And you can find Max where he said, and we'll drop the links in the episode description. So, hit those up, and appreciate you being on.
I really appreciate you having me, brother. Like I could talk to a wall all day, and talking to you, I feel like we're close friends already, man. It was great meeting, talking with you, bro. I love what you're doing, the platform, and everything you do for the trading community. And I seriously had a great time, and I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, me too, man. So maybe we'll have you on again. So stay tuned. And yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely. That would be good.
Peace.